tonight, the winningest program in the game embarks on another big blue journey.
It's finally here. The wait is over.
Unbelievable. Let's go. Basketball time.
Oh, you better buckle up. We in for a treat.
And tonight from Rupp Arena, we embrace the return of college basketball. It's New Mexico State and Kentucky ready to get things started. Welcome everybody to Lexington. Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw, that number 16 next to Kentucky's name. The worst ranking in John Calipari's time to open a season at Kentucky. What do they have? The #1 recruiting class in the nation and expectations through the roof.
To meet those expectations, Coach Cal has gone back to his bread and butter, which is recruiting the best freshman class possible, put them on the fast track to maturity to where they can make a deep run come March. Nobody in the history of our game has done it better with younger talent than that man right there.
The Hall of Famer excited for another season. It's season number 121 of Kentucky basketball, and their opponent tonight out of Conference USA. It's the Aggies of New Mexico State, who are a post-season presence year in and year out, but in a total rebuild mode. Freshman getting it started for Kentucky, in the first shot by the Thiero follows up the DJ Wagner miss.
You gotta love the activity there by Thiero. Inside shots lead to inside rebounds.
This is a New Mexico State team that has a brand new roster, 100% turnover. They're not quite sure what to expect of who they have, and they're missing some key players tonight as well. Some who haven't quite gained eligibility, and another who's out with injury. More on that in a moment as you look at Kentucky's starting five. A team that cruised through its exhibition season, 2 wins in as many games. Wagner fires and is off the mark. This is a Kentucky team that promises more tempo, and for the time being, they're really playing without a center. They have Trey Mitchell at 6'9", the transfer from Pitt. Normally a 4-man playing in at the 5 position. Aggies last year in an abbreviated season went 7-13 as Christian Cook throws in a 3. They only played 8 conference games before shutting down the campaign early.
And Cook's a guy you must find if you're Kentucky. 42% career three-point shooter at Northeastern State.
Third team MIAA, and the spin move is lost by Thiero. So here's the story with New Mexico State. The only people that returned from last season, the trainer, the strength coach, and the secretary. Everybody else is brand new, led now by Jason Hooten, who was the head coach at Sam Houston State for 13 years. And he's got a tough job on his hands this season.
And what do we know about the Aggies? It's the defensive philosophy by Coach Hooten. This will be the toughest defensive battle Kentucky's offense has faced, given their offseason and exhibition opponents.
It was hard for Kentucky to scout this team. Not only they all knew, but nobody on this squad played with any of their teammates last year. Harris step back 3, well off the mark, and a chance for Kentucky to run. Justin Edwards, the lefty, left it short. Rebounded by the Aggies, and they want to push behind Jalen Jackson Posey. Played at Stephen F. Austin last year. And Posey throws in a 3. Hey, no big surprise they would hit some 3s when Hooten was the assistant coach at Sam Houston State in 2010. They came in here and set a Rupp Arena record for 3s. They hit 18 of them.
I don't know that they can expect to make that many, but their defensive transitions, what's impressed early. The Wildcats want to get out and run. So far, the Aggies have been back.
Edwards from the elbow. 6'8" freshman from Philadelphia.
I love the confidence. 2 trips into the paint, unsuccessful, but does not blink an eye when he gets into that paint. Short memory is what you want to see.
Hot start for New Mexico State. 2 of 3 from deep. Longtime member of the WAC, but made the move to Conference USA this year. First season in CUSA after having a tremendous run through a lot of great coaches. Their time in the Western Athletic Conference. The 9 wins last year, the worst since 2005. And an early foul on Keosi Eziagu. Jordan Walls checks in. He played in Conference USA last year at Western Kentucky. He was 15th in the conference in assists. What do we watch for Kentucky on the offensive end?
I think the spacing. You got 5 guys that Coach Cal has preached about that can all dribble, pass, and shoot. And a big advantage is this guy right here, 4 and white.
Mitchell challenge, and Isiago picks up his second personal.
And Tom, he's going to have to do that because I think you have to try to crowd Mitchell defensively. He's such a good passer and proven to be such a good shooter. You got to make him put it on the deck and try to do so without fouling.
And so Mitchell will go to the free throw line. 6'9", grad transfer from Pitt. Also played at UMass in Texas. He's 23 years old. This is a plug and play transfer, and a versatile one at that.
And I don't think anybody realized just how big of a transfer it was when they announced Mitchell being part of this roster. We'll get into it more after the break, but this is a thin Kentucky front line for the time being. But have no fear when you got a pick and pop 5 that can hold his own down low.
12 points, 5.5 boards last year for Mitchell. And he makes 1 of 2. They're going to try and trap at midcourt. Pass is tipped by Edwards and stolen away. 3 on 3 for the Cats. Here's Thiero for 3.
Yeah, but I love the defensive full court pressure there by Wagner with the trap coming from Edwards. If you can ball hawk the way Wagner can, 94 feet, opponents are going to hate playing against Kentucky.
They promise more of a tempo team this season, especially playing without a true 5 in the time being, and some versatile centers that are able to stretch the floor even when they're on the floor at 7 feet. A drive and a foul, and that one will be charged Antonio Reeves.
Some of the pros of having a small lineup, though, are the switchability you have. I mean, that was good offense there by New Mexico State. Kentucky got lost a little bit, but because they're versatile with this lineup, they're able to switch off and handle it okay.
Rob Dillingham, freshman out of Hickory, North Carolina, replaces Thiero. #1 recruiting class in the country that Dillingham is a part of. All 5 freshmen in the top 25 in the country, according to the rankings. Rebounded by Edwards. DJ Wagner, freshman from Camden, New Jersey, kicks out. Edwards throws it down. His first 3 of the night.
Well, Wagner is a downhill driver. If you can get that paint touch that early in transition, boy, does it open up that trailer 3.
Here's Rawls, grad transfer who left Western Kentucky twice. In between, spent a year at Georgia State. It's a hodgepodge of a roster that Jason Hooten and his staff had to put together last minute. And they've been besieged by injuries. They haven't had their main 5 on the floor to practice together yet. Rawls, left hand. They used a lot of clock on that one for nothing. No numbers for the Cats. Transition 3. Dillingham off the mark.
Well, I thought he actually could have decked that one and gotten all the way to the hole. The lane was wide open.
Kentucky 1 for 4 from deep to start. Only 2 makes for the Aggies. Both come from behind the arc.
Aggies got to find a way to get some sort of paint touch. They don't have much of a post-up threat in the game right now. Got to put their head down and get to the rack.
Onyenso trying to offer a screen. Shot clock late again. It's at 3. Corner triple. Skipped off and Reeves brought it down. Wagner. Got it to go.
He is so tough to stay in front of. And under control, avoids the charge, playing off 2 feet extremely well.
First bucket for DJ Wagner, a surname familiar to John Calipari. His dad played for him. Well, Reeves gambled. It ends up with a pump fake in the corner, and the reverse is blocked, but foul. And after a rambunctious start to this one, we have a chance to catch our breath with the return of college basketball and the Cats on an 8-0 run. Well, a trio of Kentucky centers are currently out. Bradshaw and Onyenso both out with continuing foot injuries. Meanwhile, Zvonimir Ivisic is still waiting NCAA approval to play. Ran into him today. He's been under the weather. He's missed some significant time already early in the season, even with the late addition. He had a knee that was barking at him for a little bit, took him out of practice. And now he's been sick for the last 4 days, so he hasn't been on the practice floor. But talking to the staff, they said when he is, He is a huge difference maker. Touch from three, the ability to defend the rim and throw down lobs at 7-2. He's going to be a good fit for what they want to do from a tempo standpoint.
Yeah, it's a temporary problem right now, no question, for the Kentucky Wildcats. The biggest positive I see is that I don't think they're going to have to rework their offense at all with the spacing they get from the 5 position, because all those guys, granted Onyenso maybe not as big of a threat from deep, but all those guys can do things similar to Mitchell, to where you're going to continue to have that spacing, as we've been able to see some of these guards, especially Wagner, get into that paint and create good opportunities, whether it's for themselves for that rim shot or kick it out for the 3-ball.
Christian Cook at the free throw line talking with his staff. Ivisic came back and first time back played 7 minutes of just getting up and down the floor. And in that 7 minutes, it trailed 3, had 2 blocks, threw down 2 alley-oop dunks. Reed Sheppard has checked in the game for Kentucky as Cook goes 2 for 2 from the line. He's got a game high 5. Sheppard with the ball in his hands. He obviously, the Kentucky fans are aware, known as a scorer in high school, but he's going to be asked to do a lot and be very versatile for this Kentucky team.
Backup point guard's one of the more difficult positions to play. You come off the bench, you don't get to go up and down the court a couple times, get loose. I mean, the ball is in your hands to run the show immediately.
He averaged 8.5 points, 6 assists in the 2 exhibition games. Thiero in this lineup is playing the 4, and they got the freshman Jordan Burks on the floor for the first time. I talked about Sheppard's versatility, that he can bring rebounding to the floor, which probably would surprise some people in terms of how he can help. Thiero is rejected at the rim, but they're going to get a foul on the drive. And they'll be charged to Robert Carpenter. But if you're playing without a 5, and you go into the Kansas game, for example, you need a dude who can do a lot. And Sheppard, 3,700 points in high school. What is it? They just rave about the rebounding that he's able to provide at 6'3".
We used to use the phrase rebound down for the guards. So while the bigs are busy boxing out guys like Hunter Dickinson, those guards better be able to crash down, create an advantage man for man inside. And I think Sheppard's got a great opportunity to accomplish the goal, what I think as a backup point guard, have the team be better when you're in the game. I'm a big plus-minus guy when it comes to backup point guards, that maintain or build that lead or come from behind if you're minimize that deficit if your team's trailing. And I think Sheppard's high IQ, his ability to shoot the ball and be in the right spot defensively, can allow him to do just that.
Thiero knocks down a couple of free throws. Meanwhile, Wagner returns, so we'll form the backcourt with Sheppard right now. Sheppard on Jackson Posey. Got a step on him. And the baseline drop nearly went with the circus shot. Sheppard sees the floor very well. Dillingham shares it. Here's Thiero. Thiero has turned into a big-time finisher. He has grown, he's broad-chested, added 2 inches and a few pounds. This is 6'8", 222 coming down the lane.
Well, this is when Coach Cal is going to say, hey, we need that to be an and one. And he has preached the fact that if he can get his conditioning up, he can be the best finisher in the country. But before that drive happened, I mean, that was a thing of beauty. Put pressure on the defense with the penetration by Sheppard. And when we say don't let the ball stick, get it popping, Kentucky was able to do that, getting it moving quick side to side. Thiero with the quick penetration.
How about this transformation? May of 22, 6'5", a buck-80, 6'8", 222.
Yeah, not only does Coach Cal think he can be the best finisher in the country, I think he can lead the team in deflection. Those active hands that he has and him being on the wing.
3-ball off the mark, another board for Sheppard. And another foul inside. That's Clarence Monzi. Jackson commits his first.
It doesn't get much quicker than that. You get a defensive rebound, push it up the court, and with that type of elite speed against a really well-coached, albeit new, New Mexico State team, transition buckets shouldn't be that easy, but Kentucky made it look that way.
So here's Dillingham, 5-star recruit from Hickory, North Carolina, but he played in Atlanta at overtime elite and was originally committed to North Carolina State.
I think this is a young man here that is just going to change the momentum of key games this season for Kentucky, where things might be in a little bit of a slump offensively. He comes off the bench, gets a steal, breakaway dunk, whatever it is. He just has an energy and a pop and a different tempo to his game.
Mexico State has missed its last 7 attempts. Jackson Posey mid-range, that'll end that skid. He's got 5. 5-point game. Drive and off the glass for Dillingham, as you suggested.
And you've got some ball handlers on the court right now too. Of course, Dillingham can play some point, but Thiero has in the past. You got Wagner and Sheppard together. I mean, this is a very skilled perimeter lineup in right now for Kentucky.
Thiero dug in there, and we get a foul. That'll take us to a break. It's a foul on Thiero. Kentucky up 7 as we step away for this timeout at Rupp.
Cal's gonna let you play your game. I know he let me do it. When we played pickup basketball, anytime we pulled up from deep, we held up a W and said, wag, wag.
You did?
Yes. And then it'd clank off the iron, but you know, the thought was there. But man, it's just the way his son, DJ Wagner, has carried himself. He communicates better than any of the upperclassmen. That's not a knock on the upperclassmen as much as it is a compliment to a young kid that already has a pro's approach to the game. And I've been extremely impressed, not just with him on the offensive end, but the way he has put ball pressure on these guards for the Aggies and not getting screened. They've been trying to set double ball screens at the top of the key. He just fights over the top and doesn't let them run their offense. I think he could be one of the best perimeter defenders in the SEC.
By the way, of course, Grandpa Milt won a national championship in Louisville, and we get an and one on the inbound as Sheppard picks up the foul. And that'll put Robert Carpenter at the free throw line. Carpenter is an interesting story and emblematic of this nomadic New Mexico State roster. He's from Detroit, played a year prep ball at Mount Zion Academy, then started at St. Bonaventure, went to Pearl River, then Mississippi Valley State. Last year was at Kent State, but never saw the floor. And he was at Mississippi Valley, he only played half the season. The team was 1-12 with him. It sounds really bad, but they finished 2-26, so it didn't really hurt that much.
So, counting prep school, 6 stops in what, 6 years, and a junior here at New Mexico State?
I mean, it's crazy, but it's not that abnormal anymore.
No, and look, he's been out with an injury, hadn't practiced as much, but he's one of those scorers that they're going to have. 21 in red can certainly be a double-digit scorer for this Aggie team.
He was a 20 and 10 player at Mount Zion, has a great reputation as a basketball prep school. Aggies hanging around, trailing only by 4. Beautiful back cut, and the reverse is good. And the Aggies right in this thing as Jaden Harris gets his first bucket of the year.
Well, Dillingham was trying to play up top to bust through that dribble handoff. Aggies read it well and backdoor him.
Cats in need of a bucket here. Try to get the momentum back. Wagner's leaner is no good. And Jackson Posey content to walk it up.
I'd run the same play knowing that they're gonna be afraid of that backdoor. Now you can run that dribble handoff better.
Tried to throw it from the low goal. It's too long a pass. Here's Sheppard now. Got Dillingham on the wing. Edwards with the follow, and they say went over the back.
We'll take a look at how that backdoor play happened. Watch Dillingham. He's going to be on the high side of his opponent, and just a great read there by 13 on the backdoor. If they're going to play high and try to bust through the dribble handoff, emptied out the backside. Nice, well-designed play by the Aggies.
10 NCAA tournaments in 18 years as a WAC school for New Mexico State. Chris Jans, now the Mississippi State head coach, was there for 5 seasons, won 122 games. Been to 23 NCAA tournaments overall, and that includes a trip to the Final Four in 1970. There is great basketball tradition in Las Cruces.
And a huge basketball fan base as well.
Offensive rebound. Follow no. And Thiero comes out with it. Here's Edwards. Reeves never shy. Got it.
They're getting some open looks from three in transition. New Mexico State is doing a great job of getting back, but they sink to the paint. They are protecting that basket heavily, leaving that trailer three spot open.
Depth will be an issue for New Mexico State to hang around in this one, but Jason Houghton's team absolutely battling tonight. All-time 1,600 wins, 21 regular season conference titles. I mentioned 23 NCAA tournaments. And in that 1970 Final Four, they had Jimmy Collins. St. Bonaventure had Bob Lanier, and Artis Gilmore was playing for Jacksonville. Yet it was UCLA who ended up winning that one. But the history and the passion of that fan base is what drew Jason Houghton, who was perfectly content at Sam Houston for 13 years.
Yeah, big-time basketball job, and not one that he looks at as a stepping stone to try to get the next big job. He said, no, look, I was at the same place for 13 years. When I go somewhere, I go all in, trying to build the culture and the team that I want. This is his biggest challenge of his coaching career, and they are hanging right there with the Wildcats, and these guys are shorthanded. Yep. I mean, they've got some good players that have just not been able to practice, some waiting on eligibility from the NCAA. And so this roster is really at its thinnest they're expected to have all season. Yet here they are, only down 5 with 9 minutes to go in the first half.
Well, last year the Bearcats of Sam Houston, he led them to a program record 26 wins. Included was an opening win at Oklahoma. Thiero with the rebound. They also had a win against Utah last year. Thiero put it on the floor. Good ball movement, but Wagner can't finish.
A much better job by New Mexico State. Kentucky again in that transition, but that time the Aggies found Reeves early in transition. You can't leave 12 and wide open.
Illegal screen.
And that's it right there. Wagner fighting over the top of those ball screens. They have been able to execute a ball screen on Wagner the entire game, and this time get an offensive foul. I mean, this is so much easier said than done, but ball pressure getting over the top really hurts the other team's offense.
Mitchell back on the floor for Kentucky. Misspoke earlier, he was at West Virginia last year. And he gets an offensive rebound here. And then he lost it out of bounds. They thought it was kicked. Well, Mitchell was a great pickup for him. Big 12 play, 12 rebounds a game and 40% from 3. Then when Bob Huggins got in some off-season turmoil, they had a coaching change there. Mitchell headed out and ended up in Lexington. Left school 10 days after Huggins was arrested for a DUI. Here's Carpenter for 3. Mitchell with the board. Reeves gives it up. Thiero. And now Reeves again. At 83s last season, he's got 2 here in the first half tonight.
He's such a talented shooter. I mean, every time he shoots it, you think it's going in. Beautiful high arc on that shot.
Here's Jordan Rawls working on Reeves. Rebound kept alive by the Aggies. They are a scrappy bunch and put back in by Robert Carpenter.
Mitchell actually had nice position on that, just mistimed his jump, and that created the loose ball opportunity down low.
3 off the mark, and then Thiero was held. And that'll be the second on Carpenter. Fouls piling up for New Mexico State, but they only trail by 6.
Yeah, when you're guarding Reeves, just when you think he's not going to pull from that deep, you better get out there and make him put it on the deck, or it's going to be a long night.
It's only day 1, but college basketball already in full swing. Friday we got a doubleheader, 7 Eastern. Georgia plays host to Wake in Athens in Missouri, and Memphis will tangle at Mizzou Arena. Georgia opened its season this afternoon in Las Vegas. They really battled hard, but lost to Oregon by 11. Jabril Abdul-Rahim had 18-5 for Mike White's squad. They had to face their former player, Thiero and former South Carolina Gamecock, Kuznar.
Yeah, Georgia took a shot early in that game, fought back a couple of times, but eventually just could not get enough stops and got beat up in the paint. Big fella Dante really went to work.
Missouri's got an early lead against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Dennis Gates' team at home in Columbia tonight. That is a really good team that I feel like has kind of fallen under the radar here early on because they don't have a ton of huge names back.
Yeah, with the loss of Kobe Brown, it's going to be difficult, but they do have some incredible leaders in that backcourt. Guys like Nick Honor, Carter, Sean East, all those guys have a chance to be double-digit scorers for a very balanced Missouri team.
Had a great run in the SEC tournament last year. Noah Carter hit that huge three against Tennessee. Possession arrow belongs to New Mexico State. The Aggies only trail by 6.
And this is a Coach Hooten program where coming last year at St. Houston, they had one of the slowest paces. I think the pace of the game's been okay for Kentucky. It's just the efficiency, only 7 of 20 on the offensive end, that has allowed New Mexico State to hang right in there.
Dillingham guarding Rawls, nearly forced a turnover. Your point about the tempo, Aggies will see the shot clock get down to single digits again. And that one is on Dillingham, much to his chagrin.
Ezeagu is a very active big man screener, and with that leg out just a little bit, you prefer the screener to not have that wide base, or normally that would be an illegal pick.
Born in Nassau, 4th school in 5 years. Played for Jason Hooten and Sam Houston last year.
He's so important for this team when he talks about building a culture and familiarity. I mean, one in red's really the only guy he can look at.
What are the odds we saw Ezeagu playing for the Bahamian national team a couple of years ago when we were down there with the Cats?
I would know better than you. I actually went to those shoot-arounds at the blackjack table.
That was surfing. 6-point Kentucky lead. Here's DJ Wagner running the point. Sheppard thought about the three. He hasn't gotten a shot up yet. Shot clock at 7. Thiero left it just a hair short. You mentioned the word finisher, something this coaching staff hopes he can do for him.
Well, and you're going to get a lot of those principal verticality jumps where guys jump up in the air and build a wall because of the new rule change.
Sheppard tipped it away for the steal, and he'll pay it off on the feed from Wagner. First Kentucky bucket for a player who was born to wear Kentucky blue, Reed Sheppard. Here's Rawls behind Ezeagu. Cook. Another offensive board. That's the 5th of the night for New Mexico State.
I feel like this is a really important possession for the Aggies. Try to keep this thing under 10 going into half as the crowd starts to get into it.
And they get a huge three from Rawls. It's his first bucket of the season.
Yeah, big time basket there. Even though there's a ton of time left in this game, this crowd was ready to explode.
We've got a 5-point game, and Reed Sheppard has his first bucket as a Cat. Starting with his defense.
The active hands there, and of course Wagner with the loose ball. Great left hand kick ahead to Sheppard, and not a better way to have your first bucket in the box score than a two-hand flush.
Watching practice today, you were there as well yesterday. It seems like John Calipari with the bigs out is very comfortable with about an 8-man rotation right now. Sheppard coming off the bench.
Yeah, it's early, but on a positive note, it feels like roles are pretty established for this early in the season. Like there wasn't a lot of toss-up of who's going to start, what roles this guy going to have, and I think that is a huge positive, and you get some of that clarified with the exhibition games and the Canada trip. I'm sure there will be some changes throughout the season, but right now I wouldn't expect too many outside of those bigs coming in.
It'll be really interesting to see how the bigs fit into what they want to do offensively. The word on Aaron Bradshaw is he's as comfortable as anybody putting the ball on the floor, got a good stroke from deep. And then Ivisic can impact it on both sides of the floor too.
I think as much as the half court, it's the transition game, affecting those shots on the other end so these guys can get out and go quicker.
Turn around by Edwards.
Just don't love that shot coming out of a timeout. Fade away baseline jumper. It's about as low a percentage look as you can get.
Here's Carpenter for three. Mitchell, no, and pulled down by Jackson Posey. 7 starts in 17 games at Stephen F. Austin last year.
And it's clear that's the shot New Mexico State is going to allow Kentucky to have, is those transition threes, because they are committed to protecting the paint.
Tied up on the baseline, and the jump ball with the possession error to the Cats. Kentucky shot 35% from deep last year, made 6 threes a game. 6 threes was 287th in the country. You expect that number to climb significantly this year, or substantially, whichever word I choose to get out?
Well, let's mix them both up. Yeah, I do, and I think because of the personnel and because of the spacing that you're going to get more shots at the rim for that layup or kick-out type shot. But that's where they also got to have some stop the bleeding type play where they can just dump it down low to a guy. They no longer, of course, have Oscar Tshiebwe or, P.J. Washington. You go back and back to say, all right, the three's not going for us. How else we got to get some offense?
Another steal for Sheppard. And the follow by Jordan Burks.
Well, if Sheppard can apply the same type or somewhat close to the ball pressure as Wagner does, 15 minutes are going to stay really high.
Not bad defense for a 3,700-point scorer, huh? Got another one! And if Reeves would have found that behind the back, he could take the lid off. And a foul from Mitchell inside. Sheppard getting it done on the defensive side. It's a 7-point Kentucky lead. We'll check with the studio in a moment. Shout out when you put up a 3.
Off.
Guys, I mean, come on, man.
Get back. That's what, there's nothing, and I've been on the receiving end of this. There's nothing more humbling in a pickup game when they don't close out on you and they just yell self-check. Ooh.
What a start for Reed Sheppard, huh? I mean, 3 boards, couple of steals.
I think he's a tremendous athlete too. I mean, you look at some of their testing with the vertical jump and the lateral speed and all those things. An underrated athlete in his instincts and IQ. Look, I think there's 3 things he's got to do when he comes in the game. Don't turn the ball over, be efficient from 3, and be a pest defensively. He does those 3 things. That team will be better when he's on the court.
Carpenter hits the first. I was looking through his bio recently. His favorite movie is Hoosiers, and I don't know if there's anything more on brand than that. Representing the 606 tonight, New Mexico State. Representing well as Carpenter hits another free throw, and we've got a 5-point game here in the first half. Kentucky doing a good job taking care of the basketball. Only 1 turnover. to the Aggies 6. Burks to Sheppard. Fouled on the 3. Christian Cook commits his first, and Reeves Sheppard, Mr. Kentucky basketball, will go to the free throw line for 3.
And a small thing, but a good thing by Burks. Here he is playing a little bit out of position on the perimeter, not down low, and just one dribble, kick, doesn't hold the ball, hit the ball stopper. Nice possession by 23 there.
When he goes to the free throw line, as you will see and hear all season, we're contractually obligated to mention his dad, Jeff, MVP of the '98 Final Four, and of course his mother, Stacy, second in Kentucky history with 309 steals.
And 3 straight swishes. I'm sure he...
How many gyms do you think they've been in watching him play?
Yeah, if there was like a rewards club, like with points for gym attendance, they'd have front row seats wherever they wanted.
Here's Cook, fade away from 15. Thiero with the board. Sheppard ahead. And a good-looking shot from Antonio Reeves. Largest lead of the game for the Cats. For the first time, it's in double digits.
And a good take. That's something we didn't see a ton of from Reeves last year. It was usually either a 3 or a running floater at that time to have the confidence to go in amongst the trees.
And nobody was on Robert Carpenter. Aggies aren't shooting at a high clip, but they made up for it with 5 offensive rebounds. Look at that. Sheppard with a hand in his face.
I love it. As a shooter, don't you dare disrespect me by going under that ball screen at the top of the key. Well done.
Poked away by Thiero. Shot clock at 10. Carpenter's been a scoring machine for the Aggies, number 21. Sheppard got his toe on that one, and another near steal.
And here's what I'm talking about. This is just an easy read for Sheppard. Defender goes under the ball screen. Mr. Cook wasn't paying attention to the scouting report on 15.
Turnaround 3. And Mitchell can't quite squeeze it, but it'll be Kentucky basketball. 1:11 left in the half. Cats have made each of their last 3. And they're looking to take some momentum into the locker room.
You mentioned the conditioning being a factor in the depth for New Mexico State. I mean, they just got to buckle down right now, get a stop and a bucket, try to keep this thing manageable going into halftime.
Corner 3, Reeves. Aggies shooting 28% here in the first half, but hanging in there. And a baseline bucket good from Monzie Jackson. Played at Wichita State, Jacksonville State, Polk State. I don't know if any of those are states, but he played there.
But Coach Hoot has wanted to teach his guys to learn how to compete harder. I think he's got to be pretty pleased right now with this effort.
Mitchell steps through, rolls it home. First Kentucky bucket for Trey Mitchell.
I'm telling you, he almost plays like a lefty down low. Rarely do you see him go to his strong hand. He loves that left.
8 seconds left in the half. Now 5. Jackson Posey for 3. And Kentucky will not get a last shot off to end the half. New Mexico State with a hearty effort. It's a 37-29 lead. Cats getting an all-around effort from Reeves Sheppard. The kind of effort Pat Bradley used to give us. Maybe he'll do it again tonight. Welcome back to Rupp opening night college basketball and the winningest program in college basketball history with an 8-point lead. Hey everybody, Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. Kentucky in the first half, Dane, put up 13 threes, 13 of their 31 attempts. It feels like a new era of Kentucky offense.
I thought they played fast and free. They pushed it in transition, and the quality of shots they got, I thought was really good, despite just going 4 of 13 from 3. I like how they shot it with a ton of confidence, and they can spread you out with a ton of gunslingers as well. So just because they missed a few, I don't think they need to back away from it whatsoever. And another big key for their offense, heck, they only had 1 turnover, and this is becoming a theme, even though it's early in the season, but exhibitions, they took care of the ball extremely well. So if you can not shoot yourself in the foot, get those open looks from 3, this can be a dangerous team from beyond the arc.
You think opening night qualifies as early in the season?
Well, you know, I'm going off of some exhibition notes and that sort of thing. Yeah, I would call it early in the season.
They can't get much earlier. Great first half for Reeves. Sheppard off the bench, tied for the team lead with 8 points with Antonio Reeves. Carpenter's got 9 and Jackson Posey 8 for New Mexico State. These two teams meeting for only the 2nd time in history. They met in the '99 NCAA tournament. Kentucky had a comfortable win that day. Harris got free for 3, and Mitchell with the rebound.
Yeah, miscommunication on who was going to take the ball handler there. Missed opportunity for the Aggies.
Kelsey Ezeagu picked up 2 fouls early. The Mexico State big on the floor to start the second half. And a foul on the drive goes to Christian Cook.
Another aggressive drive by Reeves, though. And 2nd time we've seen him put his head down, get all the way to the rim, and he's such an efficient free throw shooter. You want to see him get into the stripe 5-6 times a game.
Reeves, preseason 2nd team All-SEC, last year's coach 6th man of the year. A tremendous season. That included a 37-point outburst against Arkansas, but he went 11 for 11 from the free throw line.
Playing point guard, too. That was one of the most inspiring individual performances of the SEC season.
Good on-ball defense by Wagner. Mitchell helps him out. Jaden Harris turns the corner. Contested shot thanks to the length of Justin Edwards. Edwards had it stripped, and then the collision, and they say offensive foul on the Kentucky freshman. That's his 2nd.
I think that's a good call. Harris was back there waiting for him. And with the new rule this year, you have to have your feet set before the opponent plants his last foot before taking off. Not just before he takes off, but before he plants the last foot. And that time Harris was there early and outside the arc.
You will hear a lot about and see Rule 417.4D, legal guarding position on an airborne player with the ball. It's a lot of legalese, but the bottom line is you're going to see a lot fewer charges this year is what it's all going to boil down to.
It should be advantage offense, and that time Edwards just has to be a little bit more aware, because if you get called for a charge, then that means the whole arena knew you were coming down the lane.
Edwards pulls up for 3. Got it off the feed from Mitchell. 8 days away from a matchup against #1 Kansas. Kentucky with its preseason number 16 ranking, the lowest it's been in the John Calipari era to start the season. Not indicative of the promise of this team in this freshman class, and a goaltending call will count the bucket for DJ Wagner.
I can't say enough about the effort of Wagner. His ball pressure forces the turnover. He's the last one at the other end of the court, and then makes a scoring cut, as Coach Cal likes to talk to. His motor never stopped on that play. He fell down as he was advanced passing to get the fast break going. When it got stopped, everybody else stopped except for 21 in white.
Here's Jackson. Casey Iziagu was posted up and ends up with the flush, his first bucket of the season. Former Miner from Texas El Paso, then Kansas State, then a Bearcat of Sam Houston State. Here's Mitchell on Iziagu. And then it turns into a reach-in from Monzie Jackson, to be the third on the veteran. Here's Thiero. Nearly threw it away, saved by Wagner, and then Thiero's getting ready to turn it over again.
There's been a couple times where Edwards starts cutting to the basket at the last second when his teammate's anticipating to pass it to him from three. I'm not saying it's all Edwards' fault, but if you're going to cut early, not as your teammate's starting to make that pass when they're ready to hit you on the perimeter.
Iziaku picked up his second just 4 minutes into the game and sat the rest of the first half. Big weapon for the Aggies to have back. Here's Jackson. Found the big, but it's taken away by Wagner. DJ Wagner downhill. Got a bump from Jalen Jackson Posey.
Tom, most guys, when they go to their left, they're going left to pull for right-hand dominant players. They're just not as comfortable attacking all the way with their left hand. Wagner's different in that regard. I mean, this guy can get downhill all the way with his right or his left. He just is so ambidextrous and trusts either drive.
There's no downshifting either. Keeps that same speed going. 6'3", 175, freshman point guard. Mitchell puts it on the floor this time, and he finishes.
And that's what he's got to do. Make teams pay for crowding him as a shooter and passer. Put it on the deck, 1-2, all the way.
Good touch inside.
Really nice patience down low right there. Multiple pump fakes.
Jonathan Kanyanga with his first bucket. Open three for Edwards. Finds his own miss. Fifth offensive rebound of the night for Kentucky. Wagner got caught in traffic. Here's Dillingham. Got it.
When you can penetrate and make the defense suck in on your paint touch, kick it out, good things are going to happen. Dillingham the beneficiary on that one.
Cats have outscored the Aggies 11-4 to start the second half. Here's Rawls behind the back. Line drive three, no good. Wagner pushes the tempo. Dillingham with the crossover and the share. And then Reeves lost the handle on it. 15-point lead for Kentucky thanks to some hot shooting, not afraid to put it up from deep.
This is how you want your half-court offense to look. The penetration, pass, splash.
Well, you never know who's going to be in Rupp Arena for the first time. Kentucky with a 15-point lead, and tonight it's Jim Fink at 90 years young. His buddy Corey Price brought him to the game today, part of his 90th birthday bash. Lifetime Kentucky fan, but has never been to a Kentucky game until now, and now his phone's going to start blowing up. When Jim was born, Adolph Rupp had just finished his third season as the head coach for Kentucky. The Wildcats had just finished their first season in the SEC. Retired from the United States Air Force, United States Postal Service, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office on top of that. Longtime member of the Knights of Columbus for 70 years, including 40 years as the treasurer. And these two were co-workers at Kroger for 15 years. So special happy birthday to Jim Fink. Thanks to Corey Price for bringing this to our attention. Hey, Corey, look, they put me on TV. My first game. They must do this for every game. How cool is that? 121 seasons of Kentucky basketball, and Jim's been here for 90 of them.
Great stuff right there. They have no idea what type of stardom just hit them. Guy just trying to enjoy a game, and here comes Tom Hart. Just letting everybody's business out there.
Yeah, he's going to have to upgrade his data plan. Reed Sheppard back on the floor for Kentucky. So is freshman Jordan Burks on the interior with Mitchell. And a nice play by Casey Iziagu.
The Aggies are doing a better job of getting into the paint a little bit more, having some penetration instead of just swinging around the perimeter and getting some better results off their ball screen.
Mitchell got challenged at the rim. You know, that play that just occurred, I think we're going to see a lot more of that in college basketball, because now defenders want to avoid getting a blocking foul. They're going to leave their feet as well.
Yeah, much more of a principal verticality, jump straight up in the air, legal guarding position. Just keep those hands straight up.
It's almost as if by the rule change, they invited more dangerous contact by both players being in the air.
It can, but I think as long as they have their right to their own territory and you meet each other with that contact, it's good for basketball. Less block charge issues and less complaints. I'll say this, though. If I'm guarding 4 and White, I know he's a great shooter with his right hand, but you got to play him like a left-handed player. I mean, he likes to go left on those drives. He likes to finish with that left hand over the right shoulder. A very skilled big man.
Cats by 15 biggins here. Sheppard suffocating on ball defense. They switch here. Shot clock at 6. 3 ball off the rim. Dillingham finds the board. Wagner with the scoop. Burks took it out of there. It's taken right back, and the pinball corralled by Dillingham. Sheppard with the touch pass. Kentucky has outscored the Aggies 13-6 here in the second half. Sheppard with the rip, and they got him for the foul.
But that's the IQ and the energy level you want to see out of the freshman.
Pardon me, the Aggies got the timeout. He was driving over there to get the timeout. Pass the strike, 15-point game. We'll be back to the Rupp in a moment. Well, we mentioned the New Mexico State rebuild. Here's the why behind it. Started November 19th. Mike Peake, an Aggie player, and New Mexico students engaged in deadly shooting. Peake in self-defense ended up shooting a New Mexico student, killing it. Then February 10th, the season was suspended following allegations of hazing among players. The season was canceled 2 days later. 2 days after that, Greg Heyer, longtime assistant coach, was fired on February 14th. There's more allegations coming. There's more political stunts probably coming down the pike. And there's another story written by the AP and ESPN today about the prevalence of guns in the New Mexico State locker room. We're talking with Jason Hooten about the roster turnover. I asked him, I said, was it clear that you wanted everybody gone, or when you got there, did you give an opportunity to some? And he said, we just didn't know for sure how bad things were. And so it was easier then to clean everybody out and start fresh. It's going to be a building year. It's going to be a tough season for this very proud program, but Dane figured it's something that had to be done.
And credit Coach Hooten for taking this job. This wasn't some guy begging for his first opportunity as a head coach. I mean, he'd been in the same spot as an assistant head coach for nearly 19 years. So to take this type of career move shows you his belief in his system and the tradition at New Mexico State that he's going to rebuild upon.
A great tradition with Chris Jans leaving for Mississippi State just a couple of years ago. Paul Weir was there for 1 year, won 28 games. Marvin Menzies, 9 seasons there and 199 games. They have some great history. Great coaches, including Lou Henson. 17 seasons as the head coach, 66 to 75. Then he came back from 97 to 05. And talking with Mario Mocha, the athletic director there, who's a great baseball player back in his day in Las Cruces. He said, you know, we're kind of stuck in the middle where some of our fan base say, well, this shouldn't be a stepping stone job. He said, if we can get people who can win enough, the Power 5 programs want them, then we've done our job and we've won a lot of games. Remember, they had Auburn on the ropes a couple years ago, the NCAA tournament.
Just increase that buyout, right?
That's right.
Prepare for it.
Keep dialing it up.
That was on the second and the team second. Checking out for the Aggies is number 3, Christian Cook.
Cook returns to the floor. Now foul on Thiero. It's his second, and he'll get a breather.
And he asked to come out, kind of pointing at his chest a little bit. I don't know if he took a blow or subbed himself out, though.
There's Jackson all alone on the inbounds as Burks stumbled. Dillingham with the save. Sheppard. Great pass and the flush from Burks. Much more comfortable on the scoreboard now for Big Blue Nation, and big part of that, the fact that they held the Aggies scoreless for 2.5 minutes. Well, it must be exhausting to have Reed Sheppard guarding you. Isiagu's strip. Here's Reeves. Steps through and finishes off the glass. 6-0 run, timeout, New Mexico State. The lead is 19 for the winningest program in college basketball, opening season number 121. Only other meeting between these two programs provides a flashback. Take back to '99. W. Smith, the head coach, in the NCAA tournament. Charles Gosa finished with 18 for New Mexico State. They had 3 in double figures, but Wayne Turner, Scott Padgett, Tayshaun Prince and company able to knock them off. First round of the NCAA Midwest Regional. The game was tied at the half, but Kentucky blew up in the second half. That's the only other meeting between these two programs.
Everybody loves a good throwback. Well, I'm not a Kentucky alum. I have a Kentucky throwback story that goes a little bit deeper in the archives.
Would be interesting.
I bet you didn't know that I think it was 95, 96. As a 12-year-old, I came to the Kentucky Wildcat basketball camp.
Did you?
I got a Derek Anderson story. So each player had a station.
Yeah.
And Derek Anderson's was you can play me one-on-one. So it was a long line. And his thing was I had lost all summer. He would spot you a point and the game was to 3. So I'm up 1-0, I get a bucket on him. I'm up 2-0, and the crowd, like the camp's all around. He dunks on me, 2-1. Dunks on me, 2-2. Tries to steal it from me. I get my shot off. A fadeaway mid-range on the right side, hits the front iron of the rim, missed it. He dunked on me again. I lost 3-2 to Derek Anderson.
Hold on a second.
It was.
How tall was Dane Bradshaw that?
I mean, I was a beast. I was kind of like one of those, like, just, I peaked a little bit early. And then I found out later that there were a lot of good players around the country that didn't go to that camp.
What was the height difference is what I'm getting at.
Oh, I don't know. I was probably 5'10" or something. Like, I lucked into my 2-0 lead.
Well, that's not.
But I got the shot off, and he was feeling the pressure. Derek Anderson had to play his best against a 12-year-old Dane Bradshaw is what I'm saying.
We all have to play our best when Dane Bradshaw's in the building. There was a heck of a height disadvantage at the beginning of the Purdue game today. Zach Edey, all 7'4" of them. Of course, jump center. The other team sent out Dallas Graziani, all 5 feet 8 inches of him.
No.
Edey did not have an issue winning the tip. Reigning National Player of the Year, Sheppard. Beautiful shot. He's into double figures in his Kentucky debut.
I mean, the high release of that shot, he couldn't have released it any better to keep it away from the defender.
The ball fake and then contact but no whistle. Dillingham transition three.
You know what I love about Dillingham? He's always certain of his next move. Even if it might not be the right shot, it's always got an energy and a confidence to it. And there's going to be times this year you might scratch your head, but there's going to be 90% of the time you say, attaboy Dillingham.
It's like me trying to pronounce a big word. Just lean into it. Just go for it. You might sound right even if you're not. Dillingham. Thought that one was going in. By the way, Louisville had to come from behind and hold on for an opening night win against UMBC, a team picked to finish in the bottom third of their league. It's a 94-93 win for Kenny Payne's squad. Taken away by Reeves. Push ahead for Dillingham. And he gets it to go. 9 points for Rob Dillingham, freshman from Hickory.
I don't know that there's going to be a faster end-to-end player in the SEC this year than Dillingham. I mean, that is just elite speed and body control, always in attack mode.
So Dillingham at the free throw line. He's got 10. Kentucky on an 11-0 run over the last 4 minutes. Here's Harris. Jackson Posey for three. Kentucky is taking control of this game with a strong second half. Here's Sheppard. Really, the only bit of concern was when Thiero took himself out of the game after a skirmish underneath the basket. And he has since been helped back to the Kentucky locker room. 1 foot 3 goes for Christian Cook.
He's got a nice natural stroke. That's the first one he's seen go in, though, since that first 3 of the ball game. But I look for 3 in red to be an impact player for the Aggies from deep.
Sheppard turns the corner, goes with the left. He's a hard worker, but it looks like the game comes easy to him, right?
Just extremely skilled, makes the right decision.
And look at that, block from behind. Feet ahead. And good hands for the strip on Edwards.
Sheppard's instincts as well. I mean, he had a lot of blocks in Canada and shows you that he just has a knack of where the ball is.
That was the injury on Thiero from moments ago, the 11:44 mark. Sheppard gets a breather here.
And a big ovation to go with it.
Mitchell down the lane. Whoa! Two-hand jam! A man jam from 23-year-old Trey Mitchell. Mitchell challenged the shot, gave up the offensive board behind him to Bonzie Jackson. Stolen away by Jackson, former Wichita State Shocker, and he steps through to get fouled.
A little bit of a careless pass there by Wagner. Didn't quite getting the rhythm they wanted to offensively. But prior to that play, the way Mitchell went down the lane, and interestingly enough, earlier today in shoot-around, Coach Cal stopped practice and told everybody, hey, watch Mitchell. And he wanted Mitchell to go down the lane and dunk the ball. Don't lay it up. Go down there and dunk it. And that's exactly what translated on that last possession.
Cal also put the screws to you at practice today.
Oh, we were doing some throwback talk the previous day about Wagner, and I got called out on, hey, where Wagner used to pull it from. And fortunately, I wasn't texting on my phone like you. I was prepared for the question.
Cal going sans tie, but the pinstripes look nice. A lane violation on New Mexico State. Wagner, somebody lost their shoe, but Edwards didn't lose the rim as he throws down the dunk. When you drive past the guy and he comes out of his shoe, you got some speed. Jordan Rawls had to slip it back on. Nice leaner by Jackson Posey. Reeves. That shoe was the glass slipper for New Mexico State. They are running out of time, closer to midnight.
That's now 22 three-point attempts by this Kentucky team. So if you thought that they were going to shoot it more from three this year, you were correct.
Dillingham tied up, try to push it up. And we got a timeout here on the floor. The 21-point lead for the Cats.
Well, as much as they've been shooting from deep, don't forget about their ability to get above the rim. And Mitchell pleases the crowd on that one. And how about the activity by Edwards on the great cut and finishing with authority above the rim.
This weekend on the SEC Network, we start you off with Vandy in South Carolina at noon, then Auburn and Arkansas at 4. And LSU tries to bounce back. They play host to Florida. Weird things seem to happen there. Hope nobody from Pontotoc is around in Florida and LSU for SEC Saturday night. I know you'll be watching, Dane. We appreciate your support. Hey, look, his first game too. So we got a 90-year-old at his first game, and what do we got? Our guest there, a 4-year-old? You going 4? Little guy?
I love it. Yeah.
Pre-kindergarten? Yes, there's Jim. 90 years old at his first game, and his phone is still red hot. Kids these days,
yeah.
I mean, they take their phones everywhere.
That guy hadn't gone to a game because he doesn't like to be around people, and then you just and now you have just ruined his privacy that he's done such a great job with for 90 years.
All of his brothers at Knights of Columbus are firing their texts. There's Dillingham with the floater. It's a dozen now for the 5-star from Overtime Elite. Wagner got his hands on it. And he takes it in with the left. He'll go to the line.
The activity and aggressiveness by Wagner. I mean, this guy has had the same energy from the jump ball to now with a 25-point lead. He does not play the scoreboard. He just gives you 100% effort all game long.
And one thing that's really impressive tonight, the similitude of this Kentucky team you thought was going to be mainly offensive-minded, but defensive effort from Wagner, what we've seen from Sheppard tonight. Yeah. Don't be fooled. This is not just an offensive-minded team.
And I think they understand that their defense can ignite their offense. And they've seen it here this evening.
3 short, rebound by Wagner. Loose ball picked up by the Aggies. Here's Christian Cook with the one-hand jam.
I think one thing we're going to see Edwards really improve on throughout the course of the season is just in transition and knowing when to attack, how to attack, and being a little bit more careful with that handle.
The lane really opening up for the Cats. There's Wagner, who's got 8 now. Rawls left it short. Well, the lingering question for Kentucky would be the timeline for the bigs. Aaron Bradshaw, 7-footer. He's a freshman. We got Onyenso, 7 feet 247. When I saw Onyenso when we were here for Big Blue Madness, it was immediately apparent that he's even bigger than he was last year. Wagner's first three.
Well, and they're going to need it. And I think college basketball is going to continue to have some big-time dominant centers because of NIL and knowing that the NBA doesn't put the value on a center the way they used to.
That's why Zach Edey's back playing another year at Purdue, and why Oscar was back for an extra year.
Absolutely. And I think, look, for college basketball, retaining more talent, I'm thrilled for those guys to be able to make some money while they're in college and keep the quality of the game that high. But you do like to think surely somebody's going to find a niche for those guys in the big leagues.
Great chat with Zonomir Ivisic today. I asked him his biggest adjustment to life in the States. He hadn't been here that long. He's like sitting in a classroom. But he's been in there folding that 7-2 frame and whatever desks they have here on campus. Look at the size in Kentucky history. He'd be the second tallest once he takes the floor. Once again, if you missed it in the first half, not only is he waiting for clearance, but he's also been under the weather. He's missed the last 4 days of practice, and earlier in the fall, he missed a handful of days. Right when he got here, he was on the floor nonstop, and the knee kind of swelled up on him a little bit. But they're just so excited about the potential that he brings and the versatility. I mean, he's a unicorn. His skill set with that size.
And they have not shied away from how impressive he's been in practice. And they're not hiding from the fact that he is a key part of this team. Remains to be seen if he or Bradshaw will be the first big available. Like we talked about early in the show, the thing I like about the Kentucky bigs, specifically Big Z and Bradshaw, is that the offense doesn't have to change much. They're still going to have the same spacing that they've been able to have the luxury of with Mitchell because those guys are a threat from deep.
I think what makes Big Z mainly the most interesting man in the Commonwealth is that nobody's seen him play. Even Bradshaw at the McDonald's All-American game, and yeah, you can find some clips here or there, but it's the excitement of the unknown and what he brings to the table. Kentucky's season high in steals last year was 12 against Michigan State. Jason Edwards had a big game that day. Tonight they already have 12 with 4:40 to play. Leads 28. First year in Conference USA for New Mexico State. They were picked to finish 8th out of 9 teams. They are far from full strength without Femi Udakale, transfer from Seton Hall, and Davion Bradford, transfer from Kansas State. Those guys are both two-time transfers. That's an easy look for Edwards on the back cut.
You got to love that from Edwards. I mean, he goes up and shows his hand, act like he wants the ball. As soon as he sees that denial, quick, high IQ back cut.
By the way, Aggies also without Brandon Suggs tonight. Transfer from UCF and ECU. Been bothered by an injury and not able to go. Sheppard finds it. Numbers for the Cats, 5-on-2. And it will go for Wagner.
Assist to Sheppard.
I love seeing the multiple point guards Kentucky can bring out there, whether it's guys like Wagner and Sheppard or guys that have or can play the position as well.
9-0 run for Kentucky. Comfortable lead. We'll see who comes off the bench for the final 3:10 on opening night. Time for All-State good hands play of the game. And the defense for Kentucky has led to some looks. Active hands from Reed, Sheppard and company.
No question, Reed Sheppard involved in this highlight. How about the first basket of your Kentucky career is on a two-handed dunk And I think Sheppard has been the best player on the court tonight for both teams. He's been poised. He's had great energy. His decision making's been elite, and he's been extremely efficient from the field with no turnovers.
I think his versatility too, Dane, is showing that he can be on the floor in different positions and with different players. He and Wagner have shared the backcourt multiple times tonight.
That's a great point. And I think they're going to need to, because you need them both on the court at the same time, and he's no longer just a backup point guard. You want these two guys playing together, and as a point guard, you like having someone else with that IQ that understands and knows the game and can take pressure off you as the primary ball handler. It's a security blanket for a point guard.
Under 3 to play. Here's Wagner getting downhill. Tried for the lob, and not the best spacing from Jordan Burks.
For Kentucky's upcoming opponents, I know you've got to scout for these Wildcats. One of the toughest things you're going to have to do is, how are we going to guard the ball and keep Kentucky out of the lane? Because these are some elite penetrators that can turn the corner, get in there, and create a lot of opportunities at the basket.
Well, they've got Texas A&M Commerce up next. It's Friday night. And then Kansas right around the corner.
And that's a Kansas team that is surprisingly, within their exhibition, struggling a little bit from deep. That's a question mark for them right now. So here we are seeing Kentucky put up 24 threes in this game, and see if that doesn't become advantage Wildcats in that marquee matchup against Kansas.
Tied up. That Kansas game is 8 days away. The big advantage for Kansas will be the nation's most highly recruited transfer, Hunter Dickinson, 17 and 8 over his career in Michigan. Be in Chicago November 14th on ESPN. So they've got Dickinson. That's going to be a huge advantage inside for Bill Self's team. But if Kentucky can run a little bit, take advantage of KU's lack of depth, that should play into the Cats' hands.
Don't forget how good McCullough is for Kansas, as well as Dickinson, certainly a headline name, and rightfully so. But yeah, the speed and the tempo of the game, I think, could certainly favor, and will have to, Kentucky if they continue to be shorthanded on the front line.
Monzie Jackson off the mark with the 3.
With this young roster, though, I think all Kentucky fans know, while you want to win them all, it's more important to be able to take down Kansas in March than it is November.
Dillingham with the 3 with contact at the feet. He's got 15.
I just love the enthusiasm that kid plays with, and you see it in practice. I was at their practice, then shoot around, and now here. And so
I appreciate the effort you put into it. I thought it was a little bit too far when you walked into Wildcat Lodge and wanted to continue your scouting report there.
Well, you know, it's kind of like a group project, and the classmate doesn't show up to anything. They just puts his name on it. You feel the extra pressure of just kind of going above and beyond. But glad you're here.
I had some campaigning to do around town. Full slate of subs ready to check in at a dead ball. Here's Dillingham with the reverse, and he's getting his late. He's got 17, 13 of them coming in the second half. I think Cal just apologized to the subs, and I should have gotten you at this bench earlier. Brendan Canada said, "That's all right, coach." And they'll get in for the final 45 and a half. Yeah. And a great ovation for the starting 5 for Kentucky, including Reeves, Sheppard. 12 points on 4 of 6 shooting.
I think every player that came in for Kentucky contributed. Everybody's got a few things they can improve upon, but I know they were playing against an inferior opponent, but all the guys in the rotation, to me, had a pretty good night. And we started the show with this, that they seem to have established roles so early. Like, you know who your starting five is outside of the bigs. Guys are open to thriving coming off in a 6th, 7th man role.
Are the subs playing a zone? Is John Calipari running a zone for the final 40 seconds tonight? That's what it looked like. Let's see who gets a shot. There's a 3-second difference in the game in shot clock. Graham Watkins gives it up. Here's Burks. Lost his footing. Horn to Hart. Running Canada. Burks will pull from deep. Got it! There's 7.5 seconds left.
Yeah, but scholarship player not allowed to pull it. And the walk on time. Nice shot by 23 nonetheless.
It was an 8-point game at the half, and the Cats with a 100th all-time win in season openers, now 13-2 under John Calipari. They outscored him in the second half 49-17. Speak with Reeves, Sheppard in a few minutes, but before that, plenty to keep you up to date with back in the studio. Dane Bradshaw, I'm Tom Hart. Let's get in the studio. Here's Dari.